This is ESPN, the network for thoroughbred racing.
Today, it's a Grade 1 thoroughbred racing doubleheader from America's two premier summer spa tracks. In upstate New York, at Saratoga, where they've been racing longer than any other track in America since 1863. It's their premier 3-year-old filly race, the 114th running of the Alabama. And here at Del Mar, where the turf meets the surf, it's the headline event for this seaside track, the $1 million Pacific Classic. Thoroughbred racing from coast to coast, today on ESPN. Racing to the Breeders' Cup, presented by Thrifty Car Rental. Well, they've been racing here at this seaside track outside the village of Del Mar since 1937, when crooner Bing Crosby and actor Pat O'Brien founded one of America's most beautiful racetracks. And welcome to the new Del Mar, the second full season of this modern $80 million facility. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Welcome to the start of our 1994 Racing to the Breeders' Cup Series here on ESPN. Over the next 3 months, we'll be bringing you some of the major events leading to racing's $10 million Championship Day, Breeders' Cup 11, November 5th at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Some of the highlights include 18 races in our programs. 16 of them are Grade 1s through October 16th. And what a way to start, a Grade 1 coast-to-coast live racing doubleheader. From upstate New York in Saratoga, 3-year-old fillies in the Alabama. And here on the Pacific Ocean shore, we'll have the Pacific Classic for the older horses for $1 million. Let's take a look at some of the stars, starting in Saratoga with Lakeway. She is the undisputed leader of her division, the daughter of the Triple Crown winner, Seattle Slew, winner of 5 of 6. And here at Del Mar, the Pacific Classic returning champion is back, Bertrando. Also returning for the races today, Best Pal. He is the current leading active money earner in all of thoroughbred racing at $4.7 million. Equine stars abound in our great racing doubleheader. We're underway with Racing to the Breeders' Cup. Dave Johnson joins me next with the field for the Pacific Classic from Del Mar. It's Pacific Classic Day at Old Del Mar. Let's set up our conditions of racing this afternoon. The weather, an absolutely perfect afternoon here in the San Diego area. Temperatures in the mid-80s, a light breeze, and a fast racetrack. Here are the conditions now for the $1 million Grade 1 Pacific Classic. First place is $550,000. Thoroughbreds 3 and up. The distance, the classic American racing distance, 1.25 miles. And joining me now, and I know he's glad to be here at Del Mar, one of his favorite tracks, Dave Johnson. Dave, it's interesting. This is a weight for age stake, though.
And Chris, when you look at the field for this race, you'd think that the word handicap would be above the title. But no, we have 7 older horses carrying 124 pounds, 2 3-year-olds tagged at 117. But a look at the weight says it's not a handicap, because if it was, those would be a lot lower.
Well, these folks at Del Mar want to host their own Breeders' Cup, Dave, but they're used to seeing Breeders' Cup champions.
And, you know, last year in the 7 Breeders' Cup Championship races, 4 of those winners came out of the meet right here at Del Mar.
It was almost 5, because Bertrando, who won the Pacific Classic last year, of course, was second, beating in the big upset by our Kong in the Classic. Bertrando, though, went on to be the male champion, older horse of the year.
And Bertrando is back today in this race, but he is not the favorite. The favorite, the morning line favorite, the entry from the Golden Eagle farm of Best Pal, who took this race as a 3-year-old back in '91, and coupled with the 3-year-old this year, Dramatic Gold. Corey Nakatani rides that one, 2-to-1 for that pair. Then we have Silver Music, the hero of the Swap Stakes, a $30,000 supplement today. Chris Antley rides at 4.5. Long Shot Stuka with Pincayas at 15. Bertrando, last year's Eclipse Award winner, Pat Valenzuela, who won 4 races yesterday. Bertrando is 5-2. Del Mar Dennis gets a new jockey, Alex Solis, and is 5-1 in the morning line. And Slew of Damascus, the front-running, wire-to-wire winner of the Hollywood Gold Cup, seen here on ESPN, is 8-1 with his regular rider, Gary Stevens. Risen Roman, who makes his second start in the United States, is 30-1. And completing the field, a horse from Bobby Frankel's barn, one of those horses who moves from turf to dirt, and Eddie Delahousie rides at 8-1.
Another interesting story in our Pacific Classic is our two superstars, and they are superstars, Bertrando and Best Pal, with new trainers this year.
And they're both on the comeback trail from New Barns. There was a sort of a musical stable going on here over the winter. And the two guys who used to train Best Pal and Bertrando, we're talking about Gary Jones and Bobby Frankel, they have other horses in the fray this afternoon, and you know they would love to win this and beat the horses that they used to train.
Now there is a sure bet. By the way, Dave, both Bertrando and Best Pal have actually had 3 different trainers during their careers, but it seems to make no difference who tightens the girth.
You know, Chris, in 1991, the Pacific Classic became the first $1 million race here in the history of Del Mar. And the first race run exactly at 1.25 miles here in 41 years.
The first Pacific Classic winner was the only 3-year-old in a stellar field that included almost all of the top older horses in action that year.
At the top of the lane, and it's Kent de Somo and Twilight Agenda now sent for home. Farm Away can find no more. Best Pal is third, then Unbridled, and it's all Greek to me. But it's Twilight Agenda well clear in the Pacific Classic as they come to the 16th pole. He's starting to shift out just a little. Best Pal is coming after him now. Twilight Agenda, but here comes Best Pal. Best Pal going to catch him at the wire. Best Pal has got Twilight Agenda, and Best Pal and Fat Valenzuela win the $1 million Pacific Classic.
Trainer Gary Jones saddled Best Pal for the gelding's second $1 million victory, the first coming in the 1990 Hollywood Futurity, when he was trained by Ian Jorik. Best Pal became known as the house horse at Del Mar, partially for his perfect 4-for-4 stakes record at this track and his ownership by Del Mar chairman John Mabie's Golden Eagle Farm.
Well, Best Pal was known as the house horse. This is the man who runs the house that is the beautiful Del Mar, Joe Harper. He is the president, CEO, general manager. And Joe, what a great meet you have going.
Well, it's been a fabulous meet so far, and a day like today, it's really lovely to see this many people in anybody's racetrack.
Behind us, of course, is the winner's circle activity here. Joe, let's look to the future now, Del Mar. You tried Twilight Racing. Let's talk about putting lights up here on old Del Mar.
Well, I think, you know, we tried Twilight Racing once, and it was a big success last Friday night. We got 6,000 more people than I had anticipated that we had the year before. They bet $1.5 million more than with one less race, so obviously it was a success. I think we'll try it a couple of times next year, where the days are a little longer and we can get away without lights before we go spend $1.5 million for lights around.
Well, this is Racing to the Breeders' Cup. You have the Breeders' Cup audience listening to you now. Why should Del Mar host this Racing's Championship event?
Well, I think, you know, this track of all tracks just lends itself to something like a Breeders' Cup. It's brand new. It's beautiful. It's got all kinds of seating. We can, with our luxury suites and sky boxes, we can take care of everything from the ramp fan down here and the bikinis to the upper class turf club folks, and it just lends itself. The weather, everything's right for this, and I hope they take a hard look at us, because we'd love to have it in 97.
1997, the Breeders' Cup. What a great spot here where the turf meets the surf at Old Del Mar. Joe Harper, great to be here with you. Glad you joined us for Pacific Classic Day, their richest event at Del Mar. Racing to the Breeders' Cup, presented by Thrifty Car Rental, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's year-round national stakes program. Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. Budweiser, beats what age for a crisp, clear, classic taste. And by Auto Tote, where the action is. Live from Del Mar, California, and you ought to be here. What a beautiful spot for thoroughbred racing. But before we bring you the $1 million Pacific Classic from Del Mar, we're going to take you across the country to historic Saratoga Race Course, where the weather's a bit overcast, a fast racetrack for the Alabama. Bit of a transmission problem, we understand, coming out of Saratoga right now. We'll keep you up to date on it, the Alabama. Let's give you our conditions of racing for the Grade 1 stake. It will be for 3-year-old fillies at $200,000, 1.25 miles when we get to that point. Before this Alabama look, though, we want to go back to this past Monday at Saratoga. The National Museum and Racing Hall of Fame is located there, along with America's oldest racetrack. We were on hand for this year's induction ceremonies. This is the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, where the equine and human stars of this sport are enshrined. 1994 inductees included Arts and Letters, Paul Mellon's Homebred, who was Horse of the Year in 1969. From that same foal crop came the great race mare Tawi, a two-time sprint champion. Also honored, the horse of yesteryear, George Widener's 830, who raced from 1938 to 1941. And Flatterer, champion steeplechaser, who won 4 consecutive Eclipse Awards starting in 1983. After more than half a century as a trainer with over 60 stakes winners, Warren A. Jimmy Kroll received his plaque at age 74. He's been in the racing spotlight all this year. His top 3-year-old Holy Bull, Jimmy says, is the best horse he's ever trained. Jockey Steve Coffin, at the ceremonies with his wife Amy and daughter Caitlin, became the youngest ever inducted into racing's Hall of Fame at age 34. He's known as the 18-year-old Triple Crown winning rider of Affirm. In 1978, those classic battles with Aladar.
And I'd also like to try and thank the entire Affirm team, which includes Mr. and Mrs. Lewis Wilson, Laz Barrere, who I also am sad is not here, is not able to be here, or because he passed away, unfortunately, and his groom Juan, his exercise rider Toto, and of course the great horse himself, who was without a doubt the best horse that I ever rode.
Back at Del Mar, and it's almost post time at Saratoga for the Alabama. And Dave, let's set up this race. Everybody looking to Lakeway. She is the queen of the 3-year-old filly division.
Oh, she has had some great career already on the racetrack. She's 6 wins and 7 starts, 5 out of 6 this year. She was so good earlier this year. There was talk about running her against the Colts in the Kentucky Derby.
And I know Mike Rutherford only even wanted to run into Travers next Saturday, but Gary Jones, a trainer, held way. Let's take a look at the field.
2 Altizano has the rail. Craig Perrette, who won aboard this filly last out, is again aboard today at 4.5 to 1, and that's the price on Heavenly Prize. The red-hot Mike Smith rides this one. Heavenly Prize trying to go 2 turns for the first time this year, trained by Shug McGahee. Plenty of Sugar with Julie Crone is at 12. Sovereign Kitty with Jose Santos at 20 to 1. Jade Flush is the 5-horse, a long shot with Jerry Bailey. Lady Rico with Shane Sellers is the longest price on the board at 50. And Lakeway with Kent DeSormo, that's the reason he's not here today, is now 2 to 5. Double what he was, double what this filly was a little earlier.
Dave, the favorite you met earlier today, of course, you mentioned, is Lakeway. The West Coast base star of the division showed she could ship east when she won the Mother Goose at Belmont.
And she did it so easily. And, of course, Gary Jones is taking this horse up to Saratoga today and hoping for another victory. Kent DeSormo again. Look at how easily this horse won the Mother Goose and then won the Hollywood Oaks after that.
Since 1984, this Alabama has sent on 7 horses to the Breeders' Cup Distaff, 7 fillies. So it's a race that has provided real field horses for the Breeders' Cup Championship event. Let's take a look at a real challenger for Lakeway, though, this afternoon at Saratoga. It is the Texas-bred 2 Altizano. And, Dave, she made her mark in New York very impressively in the Coaching Club American Oak. She's on the lead, and she's about to stretch it out.
And she wins this one so easily, but she's never met Lakeway, so it'll be interesting. 2 Altizano has that very quick early foot, too, and Lakeway will have to make a run at her maybe a little bit earlier than usual. 2 Altizano's very interesting. Won at 5 different racetracks this year with 4 different jockeys. She is tough.
If there is a house horse, Shug McGahee will send out Heavenly Prize. Remember, last year she was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race.
And Shug McGahee knows how to win the Alabama. He's done it twice with Classy Kathy and then with the great filly Versailles Treaty. And Heavenly Prize, he must have her cranked up real good because she has not been around 2 turns this year, but she's probably sitting on go.
I tell you what scares Gary Jones, the trainer of Lakeway, more than anything else, Dave, and that is Saratoga's reputation, of course, the graveyard of favorites.
Yes, but this horse, I don't think is going to be anything but a winner this afternoon. 2 to 5, Lakeway really looks like the winner.
Recorded moments ago from our signal at Saratoga. Let's go to the call of the 114th Alabama with Tom Durkin.
The 114th Alabama Stakes. And they're off. Lady Rico veered in a bit at the start, and so did Lakeway. 2 Altizano came out smoothly, and she's gone directly to the lead. But Plenty of Sugar is right there as Heavenly Prize tucks in behind the lead. Here comes Sovereign Kitty, and Lakeway is there 4 wide as they head into the clubhouse turn here at Saratoga. 2 Altizano has a short lead. Sovereign Kitty is pressing, and Lakeway's right up there, taking a bit wide going into the turn. Heavenly Prize is saving ground throughout, tucked away at the inside in 4th. Plenty of Sugar alongside her in 5th. Then long shot Jade Flush and a big break back to the trailer Lady Rico. An easy first quarter here for 2 Altizano, 23 4/5 seconds. Sovereign Kitty was right there with her, and Lakeway is poised, sitting just off the lead on the outside third. And just to her inside, Heavenly Prize, who's had a ground-saving trip so far. Then it's Plenty of Sugar, Jade Flush, and Lady Rico at the back of the pack. The fractions are easy in the early going, the half mile in 48 seconds flat. Sensing the urgency of this slow pace, now DeSormo moves Lakeway to the lead. Lakeway takes the lead with 5 furlongs to run in this Alabama. Sovereign Kitty is there. 2 Altizano is back in third. Now Mike Smith angles Heavenly Prize to the outside for clear running in fourth as the field passes the half-mile pole. And Lakeway is cruising on the lead. She leads now by 3. Heavenly Prize has moved into second now on the outside. Sovereign Kitty is back running in third. 2 Altizano is tailed off badly. Then it's Lady Rico moving through toward the inside. It's Lakeway the leader, but now Heavenly Prize is going to test her. Lakeway tested by Heavenly Prize. Heavenly Prize with a stiff challenge for the lead, and Heavenly Prize is taken over. Heavenly Prize is in front at the back, at the top of the stretch, and Lakeway is trying to battle back valiantly, but it is Heavenly Prize who passes the 8th pole with the lead by 1.5 lengths. Lakeway is being left behind in second here at the Graveyard of Champions. Heavenly Prize is going on to win it, and she'll win here by 5. Lakeway, in a shocking defeat, is second, and a big break back to the third horse, Sovereign Kitty. The final time was 2:03 1. Heavenly Prize is victorious.
All right, add the name of Lakeway to Man o' War, to Secretariat, to great horses of the past who have been bitten by the Saratoga curse, the Graveyard of Favorites. Heavenly Prize, the unofficial winner. Lakeway running second. Sovereign Kitty third. We'll be back to make things official from Saratoga in just a moment. Welcome back to ESPN's Racing to the Breeders' Cup in our live thoroughbred doubleheader this afternoon from Del Mar, California. Tomorrow night, Sunday night baseball on ESPN. That's right, baseball. Forget the major leaguers. They're on strike. We're going for minor league baseball as Michael Jordan, for the first time, will be seen on national television as a baseball player. His Birmingham Barons go to Memphis to take on the Chicks tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. It is official now at Saratoga. The 114th Alabama goes to Heavenly Prize, a 3-year-old daughter of Seeking the Goal, owned by Ogden Phipps, trained by Shug McGahee, ridden by America's riding champion Mike Smith. Lakeway, the prohibitive favorite, a shocking upset, finishing second. Sovereign Kitty was third. The Graveyard of Favorites, Dave Johnson, what happened to Lakeway?
Well, one thing is Heavenly Prize had the services of Mike Smith, who won this race with Sky Beauty, and watch as Mike Smith, who won yesterday with Lure, takes Heavenly Prize to the front and never looks back. Lakeway finishes second, and Sovereign Kitty comes up to grab the show spot. And the first time around 2 turns this year, Heavenly Prize, who was third in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, goes on to victory, and I bet we'll see her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff this year. 2:03 and change. 2:03 1.
Already some Breeders' Cup ties for you. Back to Pacific Classic, focusing on our race now. And one of the favorites is Bertrando, the defending champion of this event. Now, we have not seen Bertrando, and he's gone through a lot of changes since we watched him last fall as he ran in the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic. Since that second-place finish in last fall's Classic, nothing has been the same for Bertrando. Right after that race, he had surgery to remove chips in his knee. With the time off, his owners, Marshall Nathie and Eddie Nahum, decided to send him to the breeding shed, where he was bred to 71 mares with 58 in full. That unorthodox decision was just too much for his Eclipse Award winning trainer Bobby Frankel, who tossed Bertrando out of his barn.
Bobby wasn't too happy with the plan. He felt that when you breed them and bring them back, they're not the same. And so Marshall asked me to train him and take care of him. And, you know, we both look out for him. And so far, it's working really good.
And look where he landed. In this almost surreal setting, a tropical art mural and transplanted palm trees marks the barn of Nathie and Nahum here on the backside of Del Mar. A qualifier for the Mr. America Bodybuilder competition walks Bertrando, and Eddie Nahum decided to be his own trainer. He doesn't have a license, but he does have the assistance of John Shiras.
Well, John is a super guy. Without him, we couldn't have gotten where we are. I've had a few problems with the license. I passed the written test, and I'm not too happy with the way the rest of it is going. But in any event, I'm here training this horse, and that's our main concern, not licenses. Whoever's name on the program isn't going to change anything, and it's a team effort. We're all working hard, Marshall, myself, John, and everybody here in the barn, to make this horse as good as he possibly can be.
So with a new trainer and a new jockey in Patrick Valenzuela and racing for the first time on grass, all Bertrando did was win his first start back in the Wicker Handicap. But Naham knows it's him and not his stable star that really has to produce.
Well, Bertrando's already proved himself, so I guess it's my turn to prove myself.
A victory today for Bertrando would move this California bred right up behind Best Pal, ahead of Snow Chief as the all-time leading California bred money earners. More of our coverage of the Pacific Classic when we return. California palm trees here in the infield at Del Mar Race Course as we prepare for the Pacific Classic. And the folks at Auto Tote, this is their system here. Let's give you an update of the odds. Best Pal, Dramatic Gold, generous price at 7-2. Silver Music at 4, Stuka 18. Look at this, Bertrando also 7-2 now. Then Del Mar Dennis at 5. There's Slew of Damascus, 9-2, winner of the Hollywood Gold Cup. Risen Roman at big price at 30, and Tenner's Way at 6. An update now, Dave Johnson, on Best Pal.
Well, he was away from the races for 5 months because of sore feet. He went to New Barn, Vic Mandela, now the trainer. And we talked to Dick about bringing this 6-year-old back to the races and if he was on schedule or not.
Actually, everything's ahead of schedule. When I got him, I didn't know if there was time to get him ready for the Classic down here. You know, I'd never trained him before. I didn't know how long he would take to get from one point to another, but he's moved ahead of my plans all along and just done great. So we've got our 7/8 race in him that he ran terrific. He came from about 20 lengths out of it and just destroyed him in the last furlong. And I think that sets him up well for this. You know, he's older and he's always had the style to lay back, and I think you're better off not asking him to do, you know, give his best too far. You know, you sit back and ask him one time, see if he can catch him or not.
Dick Vandell, an outstanding trainer here, and now with Best Pal in his barn. And here is Best Pal, the big part of the Golden Eagle entry. Current leading active thoroughbred money earner, won the inaugural Pacific Classic in 1991, was third last year. The rider, Hall of Famer Chris McCarron, first trip on Best Pal. The other part of the entry here for Golden Eagle Farm, 1A, their 3-year-old Dramatic Goal. Second in the swaps this 1.25 mile distance, was 9th in the Florida Derby, 3rd in the Cal Derby this spring. Corey Nakatani, a 23-year-old, has the assignment. The 2-horse this afternoon, the other 3-year-old in the race, easy to spot, the Gray Colt Silver Music, a $30,000 supplement and an $11,000 Keeneland sale purchase that has already earned over $315,000. The Virginia bred won the swaps at 1.25 miles. Chris Hanley, the former East Coast rider, in for the Mount Wally DeLasse trains. From Alan Paulson's barn, his homebred son of Jade Hunter won the $1 million big cap on a disqualification earlier this year. First or second today would make him a millionaire. Stuka, with the services of the great Hall of Famer Lafitte Pinkai Jr., this sport's all-time leading money earner. The 4-horse, this is Eddie Naham and Marshall Nafee's Bertrando, the son of Skywalker, a former Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Bertrando, the defending champion of this race, has won Grade 1 races on both coasts, earned over $3 million. The rider, Pat Valenzuela, he won the very first Pacific Classic on Best Pal. The 5-horse, the Chestnut Gelding from Trudy McCaffrey and John Toppen's barn, Del Mar Dennis, a $50,000 Keeneland Yearling, has cashed a check in 7 of 9 starts, won the San Bernardino and the Mervyn Leroy. Alex Solis is the rider, leading rider at the recent Hollywood Park meeting. The 6-horse, a speed horse, Slew of Damascus. You saw him on ESPN win the Hollywood Gold Cup. The Tennessee-bred Rags to Riches story. Very close to $1 million in earnings. Gary Stevens, the rider, he won last year's Pacific Classic on Bertrando. The 7-horse is Risen Roman, $240,000 Keeneland purchase from the first crop of the 1988 Preakness and Belmont winner, Risen Star. Raced and won in France before coming here last month, his first time on the dirt. Gary Bays is the rider for Risen Roman. And rounding out our field, from Bobby Frankel's barn, owned by Judvon Farms, Tenner's Way. Stakes placed in 4 greatest stakes since coming here late last year after finishing 3rd in the Group 1 race in France under the care of John Gosden. Rider, one of the best, Eddie Delahose. He has won 7 Breeders' Cup races in his Hall of Fame career. There is the field for the 1994 Pacific Classic. $1 million the purse. For the winner, $550,000. We're getting close to post time of the Classic. They had almost 35,000 on the record opening day here at Del Mar when they started the meeting. They're expecting probably near 25,000 here this afternoon on a beautiful, warm, sunny day in Del Mar, California. $1 million in the purse. We're looking, though, for a value for you. Here's our Budweiser long shot in the $1 million Pacific Classic.
In the crowd today, baseball superstar Bobby Bonilla, who owns a horse in the race after the Pacific Classic. Well, Bobby may be on strike from his regular job, but there is no strike in our national pastime, and we have a real major league pick for the Bud Long Shot. It's number 5, Del Mar Dennis, on deck and ready to hit a homer in our 1.25-mile field of greens. Now, last at bat for this horse was the Grade 1 Hollywood Gold Cup. He was taken back off a moderate pace, then had to come 4 wide after his 7th furlong stretch. He closed willingly, beaten only a length and a half for the whole ball game. He was named after Major League Thoroughbred scout Dennis Lynch, and we think Del Mar Dennis could steal home today for the boys of summer as today's Budweiser long shot.
And Del Mar Dennis, the 5 horse, is right now at 5-1 on the board here at Del Mar as our Bud Long Shot. Well, Trevor Denman is going to be calling the race for us this afternoon. He is one of America's premier race callers, the voice of Southern California racing at Santa Anita, at Hollywood Park, and down here at Del Mar. He also does a great job of analyzing races. So let's get Trevor's look at the Pacific Classic and his pick. Trevor?
Most eyes are on Best Pal and Bertrando this afternoon, but there is a new kid on the block who could beat them both, and he's Silver Music, the 3-year-old. Just what does a 3-year-old mean in human terminology? Well, for convenience, all thoroughbreds change age on the 1st of January. Now, around about January and February, a 3-year-old horse would be the equivalent of a 12 or a 13-year-old human. And no matter how precocious a 13-year-old athlete might be, you'd find it very tough to beat a good adult athlete. However, we are now in the middle of August, and Silver Music is more like a 17-year-old, and a good 17-year-old could easily beat an adult athlete. So he comes right into the reckoning today, and he gets a 7-pound weight allowance. The 7 pounds at 1.25 miles is equal to just over 2 lengths. And to prove just how crucial that could be, 80% of these races are won by less than 2 lengths. And then there's Slew of Damascus. He'll be sitting right behind Bertrando early on. And if Bertrando falls early and Slew of Damascus is loose on the lead turning for home, he's very tough to catch.
Thank you, Trevor. Trevor's selection, the 2-horse, the 3-year-old Gray Colt Silver Music from the barn of Wally DeLasse, owned by Lauren Cohen, currently now at 7-2. We'll be back to update the odds for the Classic when we return. Today's Pacific Classic is being presented by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. Slew of Damascus right now, Dave Johnson, rather interesting. He's being held at 6-1.
And, you know, Slew of Damascus is certainly going to be a factor early because there's a lot of early speed, and he certainly has some. But he won the Gold Cup on the lead his own way, all the way. But he's not going to get that same trip this afternoon. And we asked his jockey, Gary Stevens, who won this race on Bertrando, whether he'd have to change his game plan.
Well, I'm not going to take my horse out of his game. I mean, that's his style. He likes to be up in front. He's a very quick horse. I don't think anybody really realizes how quick he is. I'm not going to sacrifice myself to go out and hook Bertrando early, but I'm not going to take my horse out of his game by the same token. Come away from there riding, let him get in his mode, make him comfortable, and if that happens to put me on the lead or lay in second, I'm going to just keep him comfortable.
As we approach post time, here are the odds from Auto Tote now for the Pacific Classic. Look at this. Best Pal, Dramatic Gold, bit of an overlay at 7-2. Silver Music also at 7-2. Stuck at 20. Bertrando is now the favorite at 5-2. Del Mar Dennis, the Budweiser long shot at 5. Slew of Damascus, you just heard from his rider, Gary Stevens. He's 5. Rise and Roman at 35, and Tenner's Way at 6.
Let's go to Trevor Denman now at the top of the stands. Trevor?
And half the runners already gone in now. Silver Music's in the inside gate. Stuka, Bertrando, Delmar Dennis have gone in. Slew of Damascus goes up. Here's the long shot, Risen Roman in the pink colors coming forward. Risen Roman, third last to load. There's Powell was coming up alongside of him. And the last two will be Tinner's Way and Dramatic Gold. Well, certainly was an interesting field in the post parade here. I thought Slew of Damascus looked outstanding. Of course, it's not a beauty parade, but looks-wise, Slew of Damascus is ready to roll. Tinner's Way now going up. Tinner's Way has gone forward. They're all set. Field for the $1 million Pacific Classic sent on their way to a perfect beginning, and Dramatic Gold in the white cap in the center of the track sprints to the lead. Slew of Damascus is in between horses and Bertrando down at the rail, and they couldn't be going any quicker early on. Delmar Dennis is in fourth, and then back to Stuka with the white blinkers. Tinner's Way on the outside. Best held third last, 12 lengths off the leaders. Then we come back to Risen Roman, and Silver Music can't go at this pace. He's last. They run now towards the 7/8, and as expected, on the inside is Bertrando, and right up alongside of him, Slew of Damascus, and they sprint clear up front. They lead by 4. Dramatic Gold is third, and Delmar Dennis scrapes the paint. Stuka is in fifth, 5 lengths off the leaders. It's another 5 back to Tinner's Way. Silver Music, the grey, is now 10 lengths off the leaders, and here's Chris McCarron just conserving Best Pal. The long shot, Risen Roman, is last. Down the backstretch they go, and Bertrando leads them by a half. Slew of Damascus is right there, and now Dramatic Gold's a close-up third. Delmar Dennis right there at the rail, and Stuka's on the outside. Those 5 are tightly bunched. It's another 3 back to Tinner's Way. Best Pal is 8 lengths off the leaders. Silver Music is having to start to be asked to pick it up now. He's going to swing wide, and Risen Roman just can't go with him. They go to the 3/8, and Bertrando's had enough. Bertrando's thrown in the towel. He's gone. On the lead now is Slew of Damascus. Dramatic Gold. Here comes Best Pal now. Chris McCarron's let him loose on the outside. Tinner's Way's in there. Silver Music didn't fire. A quarter of a mile to go in the Classic. On the extreme outside, Best Pal falls 4 wide, but running well. Tinner's Way in the pink cap. Then Dramatic Gold. Slew of Damascus has folded. We down to a 2-horse race. Chris McCarron and Best Pal on the outside. Tinner's Way and Eddie Della, who say they come through the lane together. Best Pal sticks his neck out and goes for the wire, but Tinner's Way is all heart at the rail. Tinner's Way, it's just a matter of strength in the last 50 yards, and the strength belongs to Tinner's Way, and Tinner's Way has won the Pacific Classic from Best Pal. A great run from Dramatic Gold in third. Then we came back here to Slew of Damascus, Silver Music, Delmar Dennis, Stuka, Bertrando's second last, and Risen Roman was last. The time in the board, a great 1:59 2/5. A very fast run race, and a very good win by Tinner's Way.
What a surprise, Tinner's Way, and what a satisfying victory for trainer Bobby Frankel. Remember, Bobby is the one who turned Bertrando out of his barn. He disagreed with Eddie Nahum and Marshall Nafee when they decided to take Bertrando to the breeding shed. He said, I don't want to have the horse this way. Put him out of his barn. And now Bobby Frankel comes back with a long shot, a horse at 7-1, Tinner's Way, and he holds off a courageous veteran, Best Pal.
And a tremendous ride by Eddie Delahousie, who inherited the mount when Kent DeSormo went to Saratoga. And watching the pink cap as Tinner's Way, a question mark about his distance, but not this afternoon. He gets the 1.25 miles and beats the old guy Best Pal, who took this race in its inaugural running. Bobby Frankel, Frankel's revenge, as Tinner's Way wins by 1 length over Best Pal in a great Pacific Classic.
Tinner's Way with Eddie Delahousie, the 4-year-old chestnut colt. By the way, a son of a racing legend everybody knows. He is a son of the great Secretariat. Welcome back to Del Mar. Today's coverage of the Pacific Classic is being brought to you by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. And the crowd is still a bit stunned here as Bobby Frankel's Tinner's Way has pulled it off for Juddmonte Farms, the unofficial winner of the Pacific Classic. And there is Bobby Frankel. Last year he was the Eclipse Award winning trainer.
and he really owns this race.
He's won it 3 years in a row now. In the last 2 years, he's had the exacta. This year, he only had one in the race, and watch as Tinner's Way swoops through between horses, passing Dramatic Gold in the white cap, and on the inside, Slew of Damascus, who had pressed the early pace with Bertrando. But as they straightened away in the final furlongs, it's Tinner's Way with that unrelenting pace. And on the outside, Best Pal shows there's still life in those old legs. It turns into a two-horse race for the wire. But on the inside, Tinner's Way has too much. And on the outside, Best Pal, one of the most popular horses ever, and a tremendous round of applause here as he came on the track, as he made his move, and as he finishes second. But it's all Tinner's Way, and it's all Bobby Frankel.
I'm with Chris McCarron now, the rider for the first time of Best Pal, and Chris McCarron has now ridden for the top money earners of all time in thoroughbred racing. John Henry, Ali Sheba, Sunday Silence. Now he adds Best Pal. Man, this 6-year-old has some heart, doesn't he?
Oh, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be included in those names you just mentioned. He's got a big heart, a real big heart, and he ran awesome today. He just had that 1/7/8 prep under his belt, but he sure finished well. Mandela put him in peak condition for this race, and you know, he just got outfooted from the 8th pole to wire.
Did you expect to see Tinner's Way in front of you, though, Chris?
Well, Tinner's Way is a very nice horse. His form is very consistent, and he's been running very well this year. And you can never count Delahousie out. When you hit the head of the lane and hook Eddie, you better have some horse under you.
Chris McCarron, the Hall of Fame rider, and now the rider of Best Pal, and I'm sure you'd like to keep that going.
Oh, I'd love to keep this going. It's a very nice horse. I'd love to stay on him.
All right, Chris McCarron, the rider of Best Pal, finishing second in today's Pacific Classic. We'll be right back. ESPN's Racing to the Breeders' Cup welcomes you back to Del Mar and the Pacific Classic, presented by Thrifty Car Rental. Let's make it official now. It is Bobby Frankel's race. Frankel's revenge today. Tinner's Way wins the Pacific Classic pace 16:20, 7:40, and 7:40. Best Pal was second, and Dramatic Gold, the surprising part, the 3-year-old, gets up for the show spot for the entry. The exacta 8-1, $92.40, and the winning time, 1:59.2, equals the track and stakes record for the Pacific Classic. Dave?
Bobby, this has to be a satisfying victory.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most satisfying victories I've had, and this is right up there with the Japan Cup as the most satisfying victory I've had in racing.
But you didn't have the exacta this year.
Well, I only ran one, but believe me, I'm very, very happy.
Well, let's watch it again and tell us what, again, we've got a turf horse that you take to dirt.
Yes, he's bred. He's the Secretariat colt, and I had so many turf horses that this horse was running so well on the dirt.
Let me point out he's about third last right now. On the outside, white sleeves and a pink cap.
Yes, he's running good. Eddie, they really set a hot pace, and Eddie sat back there, and he just waited. And then when Best Pal moved, he moved with him, and he just outgained him through the stretch.
And we'll watch the move now, and what kind of instructions did you give Eddie?
No, I just said, Eddie, just let him be comfortable all the way. I said he's got a short run, and make the best of it, and he rode him just absolutely perfect. You know, Eddie, when he comes to the $1 million races, that he doesn't panic, he doesn't get nervous, and he just outgames this horse, and it was an unbelievable victory for me.
What about a $3 million race? Might this be in the offing?
I think so right now, and I don't know how he can do against horses like Holy Bull, but I'm going to enjoy this victory as much as I can.
The trainer of Tinner's Way, Bobby Frankel, enjoying his third Pacific Classic in a row.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby.
Chris? And I know Bobby Frankel would love to add to his resume a Breeders' Cup victory. It's something he's long sought after. One of America's great trainers. Last year, he got his Eclipse Award. Our congratulations again to Bobby Frankel. 4 times have run the Pacific Classic. The last 3 runnings have belonged to Bobby Frankel horses. This one owned by Juddmonte Farms, the Eclipse Award winning owners of 1992 in thoroughbred racing. Well, once again this year, Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas is setting the future book line for the Breeders' Cup 7 championship races. In fact, the Future Book is now open in Las Vegas. One of the basics of Future Book playing, certainly, is for you and the house to make sure you have a horse that actually gets in the field. Now, for more on the Caesar's Future Book, let's join their Caesar's Palace race book director, Vince Meliello.
We obviously post the Future Book anticipating all these horses having the opportunity to run, and you as the player, sure, you're incurring that as well. Well, hopefully this horse will get there, and you have to start doing your planning now. You're formulating your strategy now. See which horse is going to be geared toward what particular race and things like that. I think there's a lot more satisfaction in certain terms with a future book bet, because if you pick a horse that wins a particular race that you handicap 4 months in advance, it's obviously something special.
All right, Vince, thank you very much. And let's take a look now at the Caesars Breeders' Cup Future Book for the Distaff. This is now before today's running of the Alabama, where Lakeway, Hollywood Wildcat, and Sky Beauty all at 3-1. You'd look for Sky Beauty to go up some. Heavenly Prize 12-1, and the advice is call quickly. Caesars in Las Vegas to try to get down on that one. 2 Altuzano not running well today in the Alabama was 20-1 before that race. Now for the Classic. Here's what's interesting. These are all 3-year-olds. And take a look at how low the prices are on these 3-year-olds. Holy Bull at 5, Tabasco Cat, Strode's Creek at 6, Go for Gin, the Kentucky Derby winner 7, Bracco waiting to come back to the races at 18, and Silvery Music, who ran today at 50-1. Now we will update these odds for you for both the Distaff and the Classic on our Daily Racing Form Racehorse Digest show this week, Tuesday at 3:30. Dave?
Bobby Frankel's barn is an all-star team. Today, the most valuable player was Tinner's Way, but I want to tell you, manager of the year might just be Bobby Frankel himself.
All right, Dave, let's take a look at the full order now of the Pacific Classic. Tinner's Way, Best Pal, Dramatic Gold share the big money. Slew of Damascus at 4th, Silvery Music 5th. By the way, Best Pal will now move up into racing's big money earners with that finish. Del Mar Dennis, the Bud Long Shot, finishing 6th. Stuka was 7th. Bertrando faded to 8th after setting the early fractions. And Risen Roman, the biggest price on the board, 9th and last. And with Best Pal winning, he now moves into number 3 on the all-time earnings list in thoroughbred racing, behind Ali Sheba and John Henry. And there it is, Best Pal now almost $5 million in career earnings. Coming up on our Racing to the Breeders' Cup Series, we head to the other coast. We'll be on the shore of New Jersey for another beautiful spa track at Monmouth Park. It's the Island Handicap, live next Sunday at 4 to 5. Saddle up next, Jeff Metters, your host for Wrangler World of Rodeo from Salinas, California. Hope you enjoyed our coverage today of this Breeders' Cup special from Del Mar and Saratoga, presented by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates, by the Breeders' Cup, racing's year-round national stakes program. Budweiser, Beechwood Age for a crisp, clear, classic taste. By Keeneland, source of the classic horse. And by the Thoroughbred Racing Associations, assuring the highest racing standards. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 850 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. This has been an ESPN Sports presentation in association with Winter Communications. The debut of Racing to the Breeders' Cup produces 2 upsets. Heavenly Prize knocks off the favorite Lakeway at the Alabama and Saratoga. And here at Del Mar, Tinner's Way holds off Best Pal to win the $1 million Pacific Classic.